Mixties presents the popcast. Hey, my name is Brian, that is Shane, and this is the popcast, and today we're talking about Live Shows 3. And why are we dancing? Why? Because we have 200 subscribers, but stay tuned for the next video when we'll actually address that, and we'll give away a sweet care package. Shane, let's talk about last night, my friend.
But hey, real quick, before we go into last night, what I want to say is if you're watching this show, there is a good chance you can still be one of the people, even though we hit 200 subscribers. You got to quickly hit that subscribe button and make a comment, and we'll try to throw you in before we do the next video.
Because the next video, the one coming out right after this one, is going to be our giveaway. So,
right.
Anyways, tomorrow, last night was pathetic, in my opinion.
Live Shows 3.
Live
you know
Shows
what? That's funny.
3.
We haven't even talked about it, and we already have basically the same sort of opinion. I didn't want to say that the word was pathetic. I wanted to say underwhelming. You know, I wanted to say it was
but Oscar
a little
Fernandez,
bit like,
He was so amazing. He deserves that standing ovation, everybody. He danced around to MILF Money by Fergalicious, and he deserves our accolades because he was so good at dancing around to MILF Money. I'm so happy that I wasted part of my life watching that performance.
I do want to say that of the people we credit,
nothing good to say about that individual.
Okay, well, listen. Of the several acts that performed last night that we have heavily criticized, I will say that I do feel that despite the fact of how I feel personally about those acts, each one of them was an improvement upon their general boringness that we experience. It was, I believe, it was the best of what are not very great acts last night, which was still underwhelmingly sad because I still didn't enjoy it. But I will admit, though, at least they were better than previous.
I mean, how much more garbage cringe do you have to get to have this fat guy dancing around to Fergie's MILF Money on national television? Like, it's like a bad joke. It's like someone goes, what can we do that is the worst thing ever? And then we'll applaud it and give it standing ovations like it was good. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't understand.
Garbage.
I don't understand why Simon is so in love with this. I mean, he's like, you are what this show is about. I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, is he a good dancer for a big fat guy? Yeah, I guess. But who wants to watch it?
Yeah.
Really?
Shane, you know what? If he gets through tonight, I think that you and I have to try out next year, and we'll dance to some overly sexualized song about mothers.
Listen,
it'll be every single one of our acts will be you and I dancing around with our gut flying all over the place to some kind of, like, maybe, I don't know, a Britney Spears song, and we'll dress up in like pigtails and Catholic school uniforms. Why not? Hey, if this guy gets 1 foot closer,
sounds sort of interesting,
to $1 million, then we should try out because we're fatter and more talented.
At least he's not a singing act.
At least, bro. Hey guys, I'm sorry that we skipped the first 3 people to talk about Oscars.
No,
but I have been waiting
for
13 hours to talk about this guy.
Remember, and you guys got to remember, it was hashtag anyone but Oscar.
Anybody,
so,
Mirror Image, anybody.
Anyone but Oscar was where it was at. Oscar's passionate about what he does. Got to give him that. So,
all right. I guess
I'm trying to find a positive because we may be watching him next week or the week after.
How is he continually going through?
There were some questionable acts last night, and there's a problem. Actually, there are no standout things from last night specifically, because the bad acts brought their games up, and the great acts, their acts actually fell down last week.
Big time.
So there was a very even, almost like like when somebody's on a heart monitor and it's doing this, and then all of a sudden it goes, it flatlined last night. Everybody was very similar. The one act I would say, I mean, especially Sarah and Hero. We should go back through it, because Sarah and Hero was like, wow, that's actually
I think we should start at the top, because
let's go
we
back.
skipped a bunch of people because Oscar's so horrible. So
thanks for doing that, man. Thanks for putting us on the Oscar wagon.
Yeah, I really, really hated his performance. I'm sorry, there's people out there that like him, and I'm like, just pooping on your dreams right now, bro. He's horrible. Like, horrible. He's just garbage.
Well, it's not $1 million act. You're not going to make a big show out of it. I'm sorry. You're just not going to make a big show out of it. He's not the greatest fat guy dancer that ever lived.
At best, he's like that cool fat friend you have that gets too drunk at a Super Bowl party and decides to dance during the halftime show. That's what we were watching.
He's a halftime show mini spot. He's the halftime of an NBA game, which he's already choreographed. I mean, that's basically what it is.
I want to be in the spotlight, man. I want to be in the spotlight. Oh, God.
And you're mostly going out so you can kind of laugh at it more than cheer for it,
bro. When he had that football uniform on and he was walking like, I guess through the tunnel. Like, I'm sorry, guys. Just because he's a big guy, he still didn't look like a football player. Okay. All right, he looked like he was cosplaying as a football player.
Well, it's the spandex pants that are doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start at the top. Let's start with Donnell, Damien, and Greater Works. And I gotta ask this question, Shane. I gotta ask, bro. Who the hell is Donnell Damien? Which one? Which person is Donnell Damien?
It's the guy that they talked to at the end. It's the guy. He set it all up. Donnell is the man who set up the entire choir, and he got his name on it, I guess, for bringing them together. But he's not the highlight of the show, so I'm not sure why he gets his name in lights.
Guy, it really should have just stuck with Greater Works. First of all, it's easier to remember, easier to market, easier to hashtag. Their Twitter handle is Donnell Damien _GW.
So it's really about Donnell Damien and has nothing to do with Greater Works.
It's crazy when I'm like, really? Oh, I almost want to go.
There's like two girls.
Yeah.
There's two girls carrying the entire thing, and then you get a choir. And no disrespect to choirs, but there's a lot of church choirs who sound like they do. It's not like it's a super special thing. There's probably hundreds of or thousands of choirs across our country that sound similar to that. The credit I will give Greater Works last night was thank you for going with Grease. The ending song to Grease.
Ooh, 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 honey.
I love that song. Everybody loves that song. So it was a little more. You've never liked that song?
No, I do. I like that song.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah.
You get visions of John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John in black leather. Yeah, the whole carnival thing. And so kudos to them for having the best song of the three. And they had at least one other good song, but this was, they went with a more broad audience, something that more people could enjoy. It still had the church feel to it. I'm not a huge fan of theirs, but it was a better performance.
Yes, they did much better than previous auditions, and the song choice is good. And I gotta say, the audio wasn't as bad on their audition than every other singer, because I'm not sure what's going on with the audio, but for some reason I'm hearing like 50% reverb and 50% actual voices, so it sounds very much like a live show that somebody recorded from their cell phone. It's confusing.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
I didn't notice that last night. I mean, that
So
might
much
be
reverb.
why. It might be why I felt like the singing acts were not that great last night. Maybe there was
hidden
there.
They were hidden underneath the layers and layers of reverb.
Interesting. Okay, well that's actually I didn't notice that. I'm gonna go back and watch it and see if I notice that.
Yeah. Okay. Other than that, they weren't bad. I just don't fully understand their act. Actually, no. The problem is I understand it too much, and I don't understand the name and the title, and I know they're trying to like break out of the church choir thing and adopt more pop culture songs, but the problem with that is they're a church choir.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. They're not special. Yeah. They're not a special act. If other churches had come out and said, all right, let's take our choir to America's Got Talent, each one of them could have had an equal opportunity. Other than having the one girl who's really got a great voice, and which didn't highlight last night. I didn't think her voice was great last night.
We need to have a choir show.
I'm sorry?
Like The Voice, American Idol, America's Got Talent, the Great American Choir.
You lost me, bro. I don't understand what you mean.
A reality show like America's Got Talent called the Great American Choir.
Okay,
there are so many choirs.
Just choirs. Oh, I got you. So it's just a show about choirs, like they got one about dancing. I'm not going to watch that show. Just FYI. Not going to have nothing to do with it. I'm not going to do a show on it. I'm not going to do a podcast on the Great American Choir because I can't do this every week. I'm praying that they didn't make it through because I just don't want to talk about them anymore.
Okay, we've been talking about them for a long time. Let's move on.
Thanks, sir.
Let's talk about Junior and Emily Alibi or whatever.
Gosh, I feel so bad for these guys. And I shouldn't because they've spent their entire life on America's Got Talent, it seems like. Their act was better. They listened to the judges. I don't know how they made it through judge cuts, to be honest with you, but they did come out and they changed their act a little bit. They made it a little bigger. It was a better performance. It was still fairly underwhelming, and I don't see a pair of dancers worth $1 million or going further. Yeah. And especially, I mean, I kind of feel bad for them. I mean, they're giving it everything. You can see that they're putting everything into their act. It's just not fun to watch.
No. And I gotta say, cue the producer coached sob story, because it started with her talking about gang violence, and it's totally off-putting when you think about their overly produced backstories, and then when you go to watch their performance, that overly produced backstory about gang colors and like walking on the street and the sob story. Okay, it overshadows it.
It's over every week. That's another problem with these guys. Is every performance they've had, we've now seen them 3 times, right? This is our third performance.
Yeah,
and we have had to hear every single time about their trouble growing up as children. Change the story. Do something different. Talk about how they tried to join a large dance company and it didn't happen. Whatever. Change the sob. I'm tired of hearing about your difficulty growing up.
I agree. Yeah.
3 times we've had to hear about you growing up. Move on.
Dude, 1 second. Please. The AC just popped on.
Well, so as you're getting cooler over there, and the AC popped on, let me just come back to you guys again. If you're still watching and you haven't hit subscribe, do so you get in on our little giveaway.
That AC is so loud, and I just realized it's like 110 degrees here. So,
yeah, you got to have some air conditioning. You look like you're a little, shiny there on the forehead.
It's cool. I can be hot to do this show for you guys. I'm okay with that.
You really shouldn't brag. You shouldn't brag.
All right. So yeah, Emily. Junior and Emily, I'm not sure why. I'm not a fan, obviously. I don't know why they're still there. I have no idea how they got through that so far. But hey, if Oscar did, why not?
Well, the judges are carrying him, so.
Yeah, well, not tonight, that's for sure.
Right. tonight, last night's voting, and we'll see what happens tonight. America will finally get to decide, and I have a feeling they're not going to be around.
Yeah, my kid was like, when they were spinning, she's like, they spin a lot, and I'm like, yeah, it's sort of their thing. That's what they do.
Yeah, well, they brought back the spinning. You know, they a little bit less last night, a little more. You know, you still got some of the same spin. It was a longer routine. It was better, but they still shouldn't go on.
It was just funny when they were showing like all their past performances. It was like spinning, and the next performance spinning, the next performance spinning. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. You get tired of it.
Yeah. Okay. Next up was Final Draft, and I want to say, I feel like they were doing a rendition of a Chipmunk song.
They should have never been
was
invited back.
So high, bro. It was like Alvin, Simon, Theodore, dude. It's like, what's going on, man?
You know, they needed to bring somebody back. Why didn't they bring back the guy who did Cake by the Ocean in the animated voices? That would have been so much better than another singing act. Why? Not even a good singing act. I mean, I guess he was a singing act technically too, but at least he was
Simon. Final Draft, dude. Dude, I'm telling you, it sounded like a bunch. The first half was like super high Chipmunk voices. I thought it was produced.
And it was like that previously. I mean, I don't know. It's Simon likes the boy band. I don't know what's going on here. There were so many different acts that could have come back. Bring back the circus guys. I know I've been saying this for several episodes now, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that have been better? You're stuck on the Chipmunks.
I'm picturing and remembering right now what he sounded like when he came out. He's like, I'm like, oh my god. I remember when he came out.
It was bad from the beginning.
Looking at the camera, dead serious, and then he opens his mouth and it's that voice. And
well, and if you notice at the end of their performance, you know, most people get a really raucous applause at the end of their performance. And when they finished, it was just kind of like there was like this delay, and then there was some clap. Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's okay. Yeah.
So
clapping.
So
okay.
you could tell. Oh, it was really sad in a way. They brought him back only to wave goodbye because they will not be here.
No.
They should have brought somebody back who actually had a shot, you know, at getting through. These guys have no chance.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, next up is Oscar. We're not going to talk about him anymore, but I'm going to say one thing. Shut up, Simon. Stop begging America to vote this person through. Please stop. Please stop it.
I would at least like an explanation. Is he a talented dancer for a fat guy? Yes. Does that matter? No.
Yeah.
So America doesn't care. We'll find that out tonight, I think.
Oh, don't let me down, America. Don't do it. You know what? If Simon was pressuring you guys to vote for him, I have a much smaller audience here. It's nobody comparatively. It's nobody at all. But I'm going to tell you, for whoever is listening, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm pleading with you. Just like Simon was pleading with you to vote for this guy, I'm pleading with you not to vote for him. Don't vote for him.
So just so you know, last night was so bad, I only gave my votes to one person.
I gave mine to two.
And I'll let you know at the end. I gave it to one. I only gave it to one person last night. It was so bad, I only gave it to one. And I fully intended to vote for two, and I did not. I only voted for one.
Okay.
So I'll tell you later at the end of the show.
Yeah, I want to hear it. Next up is Angela Green.
She did a good job, actually.
Yeah. All right.
Her performance was good. I was not like blown away by it, and it might be that, you know, we've seen so many child acts that can sing so well. It might just be that she's a victim of, you know, we're over it now. We've seen it so many times.
Yeah,
it's just not that impressive anymore.
Yeah, it's flooded with these acts. So,
you know,
well, I mean, she wasn't bad.
No, I see her going through.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
It was pretty good. It wasn't phenomenal. So, all right.
Right. It was better than better than some.
Yeah.
She had a good high range. She hit the high notes pretty well. Had a good moment in her song, but overall, and I like Sarah Bareilles, her music. But I don't know. It was pretty good.
All right. Well, next up is your favorite, Colin Cloud. No pun intended.
Colin, man, he was the guy. Him and I was really looking forward to his act last night, and I was also looking forward to one of the singers. But Colin, man, everybody's gonna walk away from last night's performance and go, "Oh, what happened?" You know, when the reality is that he had a really great execution of his performance. Like, he did a fantastic job actually delivering it. He probably didn't need to go to the person out in the audience. There was enough wow factor to what he was doing that he didn't need to go read that person's mind.
I felt like that was a delay tactic for some reason.
It was what?
A delay tactic.
Maybe it's possible that he wanted to get some audience interaction, but it backfired on him because if there was a plant last night, and you even mentioned this before, that was the plant, because he chose that. He chose that person.
His hand was like, right, Simon, right? Oh, come on over here, Simon. Come on. Stop it now, Simon.
Yeah. And when it happened, I went, oh, because you could see he said, yeah, you blonde girl right there, and then another blonde girl actually stood up.
Oh, not me.
And the boom operator, the guy with the mic, actually told her to sit down because the other girl was already standing, and it might, so I don't know if that. I'm pretty sure that she was a plant. It makes sense, but the guy is amazing. I mean, you think about it. The first girl that came up on stage couldn't be a plant because Mel B chose her.
Right.
So that's impossible. So he got her up on stage, and he picked her name. He said, "You look like a Kirsten, I think, or something like that."
Kirsten.
She's like,
"It's not really
what's your name?"
name.
She's like, "It's Kirsten."
Right.
So, I'm curious, but there's some things went wrong with the act. Here's what went wrong. Number one, I'm not sure why she would be thinking that she's mad at Simon for getting rid of her Justin Bieber CDs.
That was very weird.
It was weird. It didn't make any sense. I think the audience was kind of like, why would she be thinking that? And why, so we lost the ability to be impressed with Colin, because it's like, wow, how would he know that she was going to think that? Because we were so thinking of, well, what the heck does she mean?
Yeah.
How could Simon be responsible for stealing her Justin Bieber CDs?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that was never really explained. And Simon sitting there was cool. We were talking about last week, Simon never goes up on stage. So they got Simon up on stage. He's sitting there. Mel B and Simon jacked up his show a little bit by having their own little moment on stage.
Yeah.
Which pulled away from what he was trying to do.
You should have known it was going to happen, though. Mel B does that every time. So.
Yeah, she totally stopped the flow of what he was doing and interrupted his performance. But both the girl out in the audience and the girl he had up on stage had very underwhelming reactions to him figuring out what they were thinking. They were just like, oh, yeah, sort of. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I mean, when Mel B, the previous performance he had was like, oh, my God, look at my face. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Right? That's the reaction.
God, off the chain.
You have to have your stage, your person needs to have that sort of reaction, the shock to know that, oh my God, he really read their mind. So there was a problem there. And the fake knife thing, Mel and the producer, whoever was directing the show last night, messed up, because Mel was in the middle of stabbing Simon when they cut to her doing it. So they were away from the shot, and then he told her to do it. And when we got the shot, she was already in the process of smothering Simon and rapidly jabbing him with his plastic knife, right? And so I was lost. I'm like, I'm not even sure what the heck was going on over there. So then to come back and go, and to show them, I saw the plastic knife, or, so you could see that it was, okay, what was the point of all that? Colin really should have set up the show with the knives being real or something. I don't know how he could have done it. But going to it after the fact and then saying, look, that was the only knife that was made of plastic. You know, he should have had Mel stand there and then like drive the knife into Simon so we could see it. So there was some sort of like so there was some sort of chance he could have actually been harmed. Would have made more sense, right?
I mean, would Mel B just like knowingly stab her fellow judge?
So that's the whole problem with the act. It's cool that she picked the only plastic knife.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of it was great. So Colin was the victim of he still guessed people's stuff out of their head. He's still, I mean, they got the plaque on the bench in Simon's name saying that what was going to be written on her thing. So I think because he had such a far-fetched thing that he found in her mind, it almost said, something weird's going on here. In everybody's mind, something weird's going on. You know, it was less believable. And it was also less impressive because we've seen him do this so many times that it's like we expect him to be able to do it.
Right.
So it became a little bit more underwhelming. I gave Colin my 10 votes last night because I feel like he is a victim of circumstance, and he can do a better job. And I think he needs to keep going. So hopefully people voted for him. I was really disappointed to see what happened. And I really think he's the best. He's honestly the best act still out there.
I felt like the timing was off, same as you, and I felt like the help he got was just like not helpful. And honestly, when he read that girl's mind in the audience, you know how it was obvious she was a plant? When he guessed everything right, and she's like, "Oh yeah, cool."
It was. She didn't.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah,
sounds good. I hope this check clears, Colin."
Yeah, you need to make sure you tell them to show some sort of facial surprise.
Yeah, she was
come on.
Completely unsurprised, uncaring about him guessing everything she was thinking. It makes no sense.
Even the girl on stage, who was not a plant, unless Mel B's in on it somehow. I hope she's not. I would be really disappointed if the judges were in on some of the acts are doing. But that girl, he guessed her name, and she didn't even seem surprised at all.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
He guessed her name, Kirsten, and she was like, "Oh yeah, it's Kirsten." Yeah. You know, I would have been.
What the heck?
If you were like, "I think your name is like a Brian," I would have been like, "What? That is my name. That's my name. It's Brian."
Yeah.
He
and then you got your name tag that says Brian right here?
Yeah. He didn't guess Kristen, Christine, Christina. No. Kirsten. A very specific way of saying that name. He said it perfectly. And she's like, "Yeah, sounds right." What?
Yeah. Yeah, so either he's a mind reader or there's a trick. And I think last night you got to see his underwear a little bit. I think there's some people going... You know, even the people in there at the live show were kind of like, you know, it's almost a little too transparent. The goddess thing he did with Mel B was fantastic. The way he did that last night, just not. Oh man, same performance, same delivery, but bad, or same sort of wowness, but nobody was wowed, and it's just it's disappointing. It's really disappointing.
Yeah. All right, next up was you mind if we move on?
Sorry, I went way overboard on that one.
No, I mean, see that what we just did right there was unceremoniously just moving on from Colin Cloud, because that's what it felt like last night.
It did. It felt like that, yeah. And
okay, now let's talk about Mike Young. So, all right. Mike Young was next. I love this guy, but I haven't liked his last two performances. But for some reason, I feel like he got this huge talent, and he's so talented, but he's like picking the wrong songs, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I voted for him out of pity because I want him to go through, because I know there's going to be one performance, if he gets through. It's going to be a performance where he picks the right song, and it's raw, and it's unfiltered, and it's his voice shining through, and our jaws are going to drop. But the last 2 times, I've been incorrect.
I don't think Mike Young goes home. The reason I didn't vote for him, I like Mike Young. I just feel like he's got a roller coaster behind him on this show. I feel like he's got a big voting base. His whole Subway story is just moving for people. So I feel like he's going to just kind of ride the wave. And I didn't really like his performance last night. He's got a great voice, but the song did nothing for me.
Yep, same.
And, he did the Ed Sheeran's Thinking Out Loud. I don't know.
Well, I feel the same way. I hope he goes through. I like him a lot.
But he got a standing ovation.
He's super talented, and he just needs to pick better songs. So that's it. Mike, if you ever see this man, I'm rooting for you, bro. Okay, next up is Oscar and Gaspar. And I gotta say, I'm so tired of this tired stick of them not being there. Like, I don't care.
Somebody tell me who the 4 guys on stage are and why they're there.
What are their names? And then when Simon is asking the questions and they're just staring at him blankly, I want to walk up on stage and smack that first guy in the face and be like, dude, you're in front of a national audience. Say something. Why are you just looking at Simon like you can't understand when the words are coming out of his mouth? And then Simon was like,
yeah.
Oh, okay then. Like, that doesn't even answer him.
Well,
like,
they are Oscar and Gaspar. So the guys,
clearly,
2 of the guys up on stage
it's
are
obvious.
definitely
It's obvious that
right.
you guys are Oscar and Gaspar.
And it's the first 2 guys. They added 2 guys last time, which is interesting. I find it interesting that the people that they used on stage aren't even up there. You know, at least the people who we saw during the performance would make more sense. The projection art is very interesting. I couldn't stop watching it. I wanted to see everything that happened. It was much more interesting than almost every other performance last night. But at the same time, I'm going to get tired of it really super fast. I've seen it twice now,
bro.
But I don't know how much longer 100%. I can watch that.
100%, bro. I'm with you. I think that's a really cool act. I couldn't take my eyes off it. I want to see more, but it's overshadowed by this, like, who is Oscar and Gaspar? Nonsense.
That's what they're trying to do. I don't.
This nonsense that no one cares who Oscar and Gaspar are. Honestly, when Simon says, "So are you guys just like you're representing them?" Those guys should have some kind of gravitas to be like, yeah, they're really smart, but not all smart people can talk to, can stand in front of crowds, so we do it for them or something,
Yeah,
make
sort of
something
story.
up, dude. Don't just look at him.
Yeah.
And keep your mouth shut. Like, we don't care. No one cares who Oscar and Gaspar are. Nobody in the country cares.
Or break out a cell phone, a flip phone, one of the flip phones. Just be like, I've got him here with me, or something like that. I mean, just make it more interesting.
If you're gonna do this nonsense, boring. At least sell it, right?
Yeah, sell it. They should have brought some. They should have sold it. But I do have a couple questions about this act, which is what probably makes it still interesting. Is even though the performers are able to turn, they're able to keep the projections on their bodies. And there was some movement where they were able to keep the projections the same. So there's obviously some foot placement. There's some things occurring. I want to know, this is the question, is there somebody with a projector who's moving it or who's adjusting with the people, or is it just a projector sitting there and then the actors have to make sure they're lined up properly?
Yeah.
Because that has a lot to do with it.
If you saw on the floor, their foot placement is super important.
Right.
And they were making sure it was actually sort of telegraphed, because like she would step back and adjust her footing. There's something on the floor that she's feeling with her feet that she makes sure that she's sitting in.
Okay, and they could go out and put foot placements down or whatever it needs to be. I don't know where the projector is.
And it's laser projection, bro. So it's there's a laser that hits their body, and it knows the distance between the laser and the projector, and the projector adjusts itself so that it's not, over the body. Plus the dead area too. If behind them is completely black, there's nothing for the projector to stick on. You're never going to see a mistake because the light hitting them is going to go right past their body. Any mistakes you see, you're not going to be able to see. It's not going to. There's nothing for it to stick to.
And that's I think the tech behind this is even cooler than probably the art.
Absolutely, it's a really cool idea. I don't see them winning the whole thing, and I really want them to stop with this nonsense, this Oscar and Gaspar crap. I don't care.
So if they come back next week, just say you're Oscar and Gaspar and let's get over it.
Hey, everybody, you know what? The whole thing about Oscar and Gaspar, that didn't work out. We're just gonna be honest. Like, we're Oscar and that's Gaspar, and these two people we hired to be here, so it didn't look like it was obviously two people up here representing Oscar and Gaspar.
That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, oh, they were finally smart enough to bring out more people because there's two of you.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, come on. All right.
And obviously, the production company knows who it is because they were filming shadow people as if they were on the phone, as if they were Oscar and Gaspar in some foreign country.
Man, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. I can't even get over it. It's so dumb. I don't care.
I don't care.
All right, moving on. Sarah and Hero. Can I just start by asking, first of all, the performance, in my opinion, the performance was fantastic. But what's up with the intro video? Was she addicted to meth in the time between the last edition and this edition? Not only did she look like she was beat up by a wandering drifter, she looked like her teeth were falling out. She looked like she was addicted to drugs, man. What happened? What was going on with that intro video? She looked like some kind of like trailer park meth addict with a dog. Like,
I didn't see that coming.
There's a picture. It's a picture right here of what I'm talking about. You can clearly see like she's missing teeth and she was beaten by somebody.
Well, okay, so
I mean,
I wasn't planning to go here.
If you're gonna film the intro, and she had like a nasty spill the day before, put some makeup on her or something. Like, well, it's distracting, dude.
It doesn't go with her sob story, though, bro. Her family don't care about her no more. She's homeless.
Well, then they put makeup on her to make her look beat up and dirty? Like,
I don't know. I think
like a drifter, bro.
She just looks like that all the time. She came out in her first performance and kind of looked a little like that. So I think that's who she probably looks like on a normal day-to-day basis. But
really,
that's yeah, I do. Yeah,
the lighting was so bad too. It was like, it made it worse. It's like the production company was like, let's really amp up the whole like you live out of a van thing.
Hey, can somebody just go get some sticks? We need to beat the crap out of her before we film this.
Yeah,
just a couple sticks, okay? Yeah. And she's like,
anybody have heroin? Can we get some heroin up in here?
Is this necessary for the show? I mean, I'll do it if I might win, but I just,
man.
You know. Well, let me say something really positive about Sarah.
Frank, beat her up. Beat her up, Frank. Come on, Frank, get over
Break
here.
Her leg.
Punch her in the face.
Well, yeah, that's Tropic Thunder. I was just gonna go there, bro. I was like, who's the key grip here?
Who's the key grip?
Punch him in the face.
Punch that guy in the face.
So, that's great. Tom Cruise. So listen, I want to throw a lot of credit at Sarah. I thought this was the absolute best performance of Sarah and Hero. It
was
almost made me a believer in the act. I got to tell you, I think she's probably the best darn dog trainer ever.
Yeah.
She must be so close with these animals. Those dogs were doing things that, and not even her nuances, the head movements, the lack of movement that she made that keyed the dogs was amazing. And I got to tell you, probably the best dog performance I've ever seen on AGT.
And
even
bro,
better than a lot of dogs.
This is going to tell you a lot. She was the second person I gave votes to.
Wow, I'm impressed. And I should have given her votes.
Yeah.
But I did not.
Guys, I have been hating on Sarah and Hero since the first 30 episodes ago. I don't know how many episodes we've done now. The very first episode, I was telling you guys, I don't know why this person is here. I hate it. But last night's performance was legit.
Yeah.
It was one of the best dog acts I've ever seen.
She's one of the few acts that really, not one of the few, she's one of the acts that went out and said, I'm gonna do everything in my power to be amazing, for my act to be amazing, and she did. And she was so confident on stage with the dogs. You know, the way she came through, she kind of comes across as very very pathetic in general. I'm not saying that to like be harsh on her like you were hitting her with a stick, but I'm trying to say that that's how she comes across, as kind of pathetic and needy. But from Simon in the beginning with the crying and, you know, and Simon's like making her feel better and stuff.
I'm living out in my van with Hero and Loki.
Last night she was confident and it came through.
No, it was.
Now people like her even more because of her confidence. Confidence is the key to success.
I
it is.
Loved last night's performance. I gave her my votes, and I am firmly behind her. If this is what we're gonna see, then I'm down for it. You know, I didn't like the first however many she did because it was boring and whatever. But this was good, and I'm sorry, but Hero doing the jump rope with his head. Oh, it was so good. Like, how do you even train a dog to do that?
I don't know. How to get the two dogs spinning at the same time, the same way? I mean, I thought it was unique to Hero being able to spin like that.
And I love adding
both
Loki.
Dogs doing it.
The idea of adding the dog, and it was a younger dog that can do more gymnastic stuff. Yeah, it was so good. The whole performance was great.
And it shows how good she is, because now she has basically a second dog that's as talented as the first dog she brought out, pretty much.
In just a few weeks, right? I mean, pretty good.
Very impressive. So I wish I had given her my votes, but I was so worried about Colin possibly getting the axe after last night, because I don't want to see him go home, that I only gave him my votes last night.
Well, I hope they're not up against each other. She was great. I just don't understand the beat up by wandering drifters video ahead of time.
Well, let's hope we can move past that, and from now on we've got a confident, amazing Sarah and Hero. And
she made me forget it. She made me forget the intro video with that performance. It was fantastic. But I remember when she first started, I'm like, I had to pause it. I look at my wife, I'm like, what is going on with this woman? When you pause the TV, live TV, so that you can bring other people from other rooms to look at what it is you're looking at, something has what happened, dude. I was like, babe, does she look like she's on meth or something? What's the deal?
Yeah, do we
and my wife was like, no,
services for those dogs?
Looks like she's homeless. So I'm like, yeah, she does look like she's homeless.
Yeah, somebody needs to call protective services for the dogs. That's what you're thinking.
What would that be like? DPS, dog protection?
I don't know, man.
Either way, the act was fantastic. I'm so glad that how it went. I hope she goes through. I hope we get another intro video. I hope they double it down. And the next intro video, like she's straight up has blood coming out of her nose.
Or she's like laying in a gutter somewhere holding a leash. Right?
She's pulling out patches of hair.
She's like, oh man, I'm gonna have to get that fixed. Yeah.
They show her sleeping on a park bench. Excuse me.
Listen, that's how you get votes, producers. If you want Sarah and Hero to win, you need to go out there and show her on the street. Reminds me of Kevin, the chicken catcher. I'm a chicken catcher.
The camera pans in on her, and she has newspapers for a blanket.
Only one newspaper, and she's trying to huddle up underneath it. Hey, are we wrong for what we're doing right now? I'm just trying to... Listen, everybody, we're not normally this salty. Maybe he is. I'm usually not.
I had to cover the mic. Oh my god. Oh, thank you so much, Sarah and Hero. It was boundless entertainment. All right.
Yeah, it was great.
Next up was easily our favorite. Not favorite necessarily last night, but our favorite overall. And I have a theory about that, was Chase Goring.
Yeah, Chase was supposed to get my other votes last night. I know Chase is probably safe. I'm not too worried about that. So I ended up going just with Colin. But Chase's music, I thought last night was his worst performance of the three he's done. It sounded very much like who he is, which a lot of artists are that way. But the problem is that song last night sounded a little too much like his previous song.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to change it up, change up the speed or change up the sound. He needs to change up the chorus and make it a little more different than what he's done previously, or else we're going to get tired of Chase. So
yeah, I agree with you, Shane.
I still want to see what he's going to do. I love that he should get extra points for doing his own music every week.
I like
extra
the song,
points.
but I felt like it was too close, like you said, to the other one, and the audio was so bad it was hard to understand him at times.
I need to go back and listen to that one again.
So much reverb, it's crazy. Watch it on low volume. Don't watch it on I'm pretty sure you had your TV up pretty loud, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If the TV's up loud, you won't notice it. But I'm watching it, on 25 because I don't want to wake my kids up at this point in the show, and it's hard to hear them because it's so much reverb. It's obvious at that low volume. I heard that I'm competing the singing groups.
I think so too. Well, when I'm watching TV, I have to have it up really loud because I'm competing with my 8-year-old and my 4-year-old watching YouTube next to me.
They're sitting on your shoulder with the phone next to your ear, watching.
Yeah, they've got Pat and Jen on Minecraft videos, right? And if you've ever heard those guys, they are very high pitched, squealing type of performers. And I can't hear the TV, so I'm constantly like, guys, turn down your YouTube, please. I'm trying to watch.
Final Draft, right?
Or Final Draft in the room with me. Yeah, absolutely high pitch. I don't know what to do with them.
I used to wake my kids up. At this point in the show, because it is a 2-hour show, my kids are now. I've now paused the TV. I've put my kids to bed, and now the TV's been brought down to a reasonable level because I don't want them waking up.
I'm a bad parent. I basically let my kids stay up because I don't want to have to stop and put them to bed. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it's mostly my wife that is the most responsible one here. They wouldn't even be at school right now if it wasn't for her. Okay. Next up was I hope it goes through though. Was Diavolo. Cool.
One of my favorite acts last night.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed what they did last night. I think that the whole walking up steps and the whole thing they did with the train last time was underwhelming, but this awesome kind of circle of death that they had up there with people hanging from it and it was spinning, I felt like it was a much more interesting thing to watch. It showed a lot more of the athleticism of the people. And I felt like it was probably their best performance.
So, yeah, it was their best performance. I'm putting a but here, and I think you know what I'm going to say. The acts that have that many people, it's really hard for me to focus on what's happening. The thing about this, it was really good, but the thing about these big acts. I hope they start to figure out as time goes on. You still need a centerpiece. You still need to draw some people's eyes to different parts of the stage. You still need to tell a story. If it's just 8 minutes of people jumping around on something, it either A, starts to get repetitive and all that, or it's hard for you to focus on individual people. Now, I saw out of the corner of my eye a couple of people doing something crazy when I was looking at other people on the stage, so it's hard for me to focus on what's important to the performance.
Yeah, and that's part of the cameras. There was a story that actually took place. They were supposed to be in space, and they did a pretty good job with the slow rotation of the thing. It almost made them look like they were spacewalking. I'm not sure why they did the dive off of the platform down to the people, because if you're in space, everything's going to be slow. So they weren't able to reproduce that. But I think overall, I think they were able to catch even at the end, they were kind of doing this, in place like they were floating. So I felt like, I felt like the story was there. I think if you had seen it in person and you were in the front of it, it would be much better. I don't know why they cut around so much. on acts like this when you don't get to see all of it. They're choosing what you see.
Yeah.
So the production, so the director has a large aspect on how people are going to vote based on how they edited, how they cut to, who they cut to, and how it was edited.
So you were saying that they were space travelers on like a spaceship.
Space station. Probably, yeah.
I honestly didn't know that. I thought it was like a metaphor for a giant clock, and they were like doing some kind of like weird reversing forward thing, because the song was Time After Time.
Yes.
So
that makes sense. But
I thought it was like a big clock or something, and I didn't even know that it was a space thing.
You're a victim of not listening to the guy talking before, when they were doing the interview just before. The guy with the accent that Heidi wants to save is the guy who talks on her phone. He actually explained that it was a space thing before he started talking. So
I missed that. I'm sorry.
It's easy to miss because you're kind of, it's hard to pay attention to some of those things sometimes.
Yeah, I probably accidentally fast forwarded to it because I fast forward the second half, and you start fast forwarding through the commercials, right? So
that's true. You probably missed it. So yeah, he did set it up, and so maybe that's why. And now the fact that you didn't notice that's what it was, you shouldn't have to have a setup to be able to tell what something is.
No.
I
thought it was like some weird like metaphor for a clock.
Maybe that goes against a little bit. So that's interesting. Actually, I'm kind of glad that you got that perspective, because I was able to you get it from somebody who didn't get an explanation. So that's kind of cool.
Okay. Well, it was Diavolo. And next up was Ketchy, the biggest of the sob stories, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
She's had a hard
last night,
life, and her talent is definitely evident. She's extremely talented and deserves to be where she's at, regardless of the sob story. This is what I like about Ketchy. I feel like her talent is good enough to get her to this point, regardless of her horrific backstory. But last night's performance, in my opinion, was not that good.
I agree. Everything you just said, 100%. I feel exactly the same way, and I thought it was really weird that. I know that they wanted an opportunity to talk about what's happening in Houston right now. It's absolutely terrible what's happened to Texas with this Category 4 storm that came through, this hurricane. But I felt like that was a little forced. Like, I don't think Ketchy was planning on talking about that. And so Mel B brought it up, I think, or somebody brought it up. And so she was like, "Oh yeah," and then it felt a little weird and awkward, almost like it was caught her off guard that because she's from Houston, or she lives in Houston, so she's going through that experience. So she's obviously going to go on, but I didn't really care about her performance last night, unfortunately. So I was exactly where you are.
Remember that gamer guy Danny that did a bunch of stuff for Mixed Teas for his Twitch channel?
No.
I'm not gonna give you his handle, but if I gave you his handle, you'd remember him. His real name is Danny. He lives in Texas, in Houston, and I remember him actually telling me the day before it was happening, he was going out of town, and he was heading up into the other part of Texas, and I didn't see how bad it would be until the next day, where I was like, wow, I hope Danny made it out of town, because that's a rough time. And I haven't had any contact with him since. So I agree. I like the idea of, pray for Houston, donate, they have the little donate to Houston, button in the bottom left. That's good. Sorry, I'm clearing my throat. I'm glad NBC did that. But I felt like putting it on Ketchy was not fair to her, even though I know what's going on there is horrible. She should just be allowed to do a performance. It should be pure.
They caught her off guard, and
Right.
they basically said something to the effect of, your performance for Houston, they kind of, I just don't think she was prepared to go there, and it's not fair to expect her to go there
No.
and be responsible for that. I'm now more concerned after what you just told me, this person I don't know named Danny that's out there and you haven't heard from. Well, I hope Danny's okay.
I'm sure he's gonna be okay. He's usually on Steam. Like, I use Steam Messenger, and he's on there every day. He probably is not on there because his computer is probably in his home, and he is probably not in his home. So it would be a good thing that he's not on Steam, right?
Right, yeah.
Because it means that he logged off Steam, went upstate, and he'll come back when he's done.
Okay, so you know somebody who's in the storm.
If I told you his Twitch handle, you'd remember him. But I don't want to blow him up on video here.
Okay, well, yeah, our hearts definitely go out to everybody in Texas.
Absolutely.
That's experiencing this, and it's a terrible, terrible thing that if you live in those Gulf Coast states, it's really scary.
Yeah, it's hard to look at, let alone be there.
So who do you think's going to get voted out tonight?
We just did exactly what America's Got Talent did. We brought down the whole show, and now we're gonna try to pick it back up by talking about predictions. I'm sorry, Ketchy.
Well, I 100%.
Ketchy.
I 100% blame you.
I blame you. I didn't bring it up.
This whole Danny thing has me like troubled.
He's okay. I don't know. Danny is fine, everybody. He's fine. Okay.
I don't even know who he is, and I'm like majorly concerned about him. So I don't know.
After the show, I'll remind you who he is. Okay, listen.
Okay.
Ketchy did.
I'm just teasing, guys.
The performance was a little rough because the song choice, and she got ambushed by the judges. And the audio was bad, but she is extremely talented, and I hope that she has, I'm going to call it backstory armor, like a character in a show has plot armor. She has backstory armor that should put her through.
I agree. I think she's going to go through. Can I give you my 5 that I think is not going to go through?
Let's talk about it.
You ready? You going to count them off on your fingers for me?
Gotcha.
Okay. Greater Works, going home. Junior and Emily, going home. Oscar Hernandez, going home. Final Draft, see you later. And my last choice that I think is going to go home, the last thing I think is going to go home, I believe is going to be... Gosh, I think it's going to be... I think it's going to be Angela Green.
Boom. Those are the same 5 that I would give you.
I hesitate on Angelina Green because it's tough because she did so well last night. But there's so many young performers, young female performers, singers, that I think she's going to get edged out.
Yeah, I think that America has already voted for a bunch of other people that they're invested in now that are in her same category per se.
Right.
I agree with you. As long as Junior Emily, Final Draft, and Oscar Hernandez go home, then I don't care.
I think you're going to see Angelina Green, and you're probably going to see, I would say, Greater Works, and you're going to probably see Mike Young right in the middle. The 3 America's Choice acts. I think are going to be those. Did you call out
the first 5 acts as the ones that are going to go home?
I don't think so. Let me think. Oh, maybe.
You did?
Yeah. I sure did, didn't I?
The very first 5 acts. Adios. First 5. Cut.
I felt like the first half of the show, or the first 5 acts, were a little underwhelming. So.
Yeah. Well, they were. And that is it for our show, unless you have something else to say, Shane.
I think I've said enough.
We're approaching an hour here. We've gone once again overboard with the show. Listen.
Can't help it.
You can find us. Oh, go ahead, Shane.
No, I can't help it. It's yeah. I love talking about it.
Love talking about it. Look, you can find us on twitter.com/mixedtees, facebook.com/mixedtees, and of course youtube.com/mixedtees. The next video coming up after this is our subscriber giveaway. Make sure to comment and subscribe if you want to have a chance to get inside there. And we'll be back tomorrow with our reaction to tonight's show. And then again on Friday with a review of Inhumans. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And
also, one more thing.
What's up?
Real quick. we'll give our review of tonight's show tomorrow, but we're also going to talk about next week and who's going to be in the semis.
Oh, yes.
And kind of what we think.
Predictions and reactions.
Yes, reaction and predictions.
Yes.
And then Inhumans on Friday. If you guys didn't know, we can talk about this more tomorrow, but Inhumans is actually in Southern California only. We're going to get to go to a special showing of that.
Starting in Southern California, right.
Right. And we'll talk about that more, but you'll want to come back for that on Friday.
Yes. Okay, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for a great show.
All right. See you guys tomorrow.